Now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining this webinar promoted by the ESPRESSO-project. My name is Mario Conci, and I am a partner of the ESPRESSO Consortium. I'm going to introduce this webinar that is the ninth of the ESPRESSO series. As you may know already, the goal of our webinars is to share knowledge and the best practices on the usage of standards in smart cities. And so what we want to do is to kind of interact with our stakeholders and to know from them or to exchange with them information with regard to standards. So we really much welcome any suggestions also from you, from our followers, from our stakeholders on the topics that you would like us to address. You are also welcome to do your own webinar. So if you want to share with us, with our community, the topic of your research, the topic of your projects, or advancement, developments that you are doing in your city, feel free to get in contact with us, and we are happy to support you with delivering a webinar. The speaker of today is Daniel Homorodean. He is one of the SMACSTA coordination member. You can find a detailed bio on our ESPRESSO website in the page dedicated to the coordination group. Just a final remark before starting. The webinar is being recorded and it will be uploaded on the ESPRESSO webpage. And you are all muted, and therefore we will collect questions at the end. And for this, I would like to ask you to use the tool for the questions. So we will collect written questions, not using the chat, but the questions tool. Okay, so this was my brief introduction, and now I will leave the floor to Daniel, who is going to talk us about potential of standardizing operational processes in the administration across EU, with a specific focus on live events. So Daniel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mario. The topic that I would like to present today is actually quite broad, and for sure it will not be treated today in an exhaustive manner. My purpose today is to start the discussion about it and create the awareness about the specifics and the importance of standardizing administrative processes, and further on to work possibly together with you in the next steps that will happen in Europe regarding it. The topic of today is standardizing administrative processes across EU, with a special focus on live events, and you will see shortly what I mean by live events and what is their specific. My name is Daniel Homorodean. I am a member and a member of the board of directors of Cluj IT Cluster. Cluj IT is an association that comprises around 35 enterprises active in the IT sector, together with 6 universities. several public institutions, several research institutes, and other catalyst organizations, most of them grouped in around the region of Cluj, which is in the northwestern part of Romania. I'm also the CEO of Arxia, which is a company specialized in software development and consultancy. One of our product being a platform for the management of business processes. So it's a BPM platform, which is called Process Player. With this platform, we build applications for the assistance in the execution of various activities in the public, in the budgetary sector, in various domains. Specifically now with a focus on the processes related to the public procurement in the contracting authorities. We do this and we have this product on the market in Romania, and we are looking forward to expand it in the other countries of Europe, taking advantage of the fact that actually this domain is one of the first to be better standardized across Europe. I mean the public tender, public procurement domain. Given my specific interest in this domain, I also joined the European Committee for Standardization, the CEN, and I'm a member and I represent Romania in the Technical Committee 440, which has the purpose of developing the European standard for electronic public procurement. Therefore, so I have some experience in the logic and the practice of standardization. Also, I have some experience in developing strategies for e-government and for smart city in Romania. Across the EU, the standardization effort is quite substantial and is seen as a very important topic for the years to come. Well, standardization is actually part of the uniformization of the activity of the way the states operate and of the way the people, the citizen and the companies interact with the state and with the states across Europe. Of course, this uniformization is also done by common laws, by directives which are then transformed into national laws and then enforced. But also it is supported by the standards. There are many standards that are developed already and many which are in development right now by the European Committee of Standardization, many with the effect in, for example, transportation or industry or health and so on. And more also towards the administration. Now, the standards themselves, the European standards, are not compulsory by default. This is a very important point to make. They are treated as recommendation by default, and it is up to each of the member states to take them, to translate them, to extend them whenever it is needed or if it is needed, and then to enforce them at the level of the country, at the national level, either as a recommendation or as compulsory. There are states like let's say the Scandinavian states or the Netherlands, which are much faster in adopting the European standards as compulsory, while there are other states which are lagging behind, like the Eastern European states, where actually few of the standards or European standards for now are made compulsory. However, there are among the standards some which support directives, and those are taking much faster at the compulsory level in the member states. Now, in the domain of the administrative processes in general, we see a good focus on domains like e-procurement, which of course it's a very sensitive and a very important topic given all the economical value that is transported through the public tender processes. And also in invoicing, there are right now two technical committees active in finishing the standards for electronic invoicing and electronic public procurement, and those will be delivered in quite shortly, and we will see the effects of them in the next years quite consistently. However, there is another big area of processes which were not yet standardized, at least not to the full amount. And what I want to concentrate on is the live events. First, by defining exactly what live events are, and I'm taking the general acceptable definition that live events are major events in the life of the citizen, either at the personal level or as owner of a juridical entity, company, or NGO, events that are supported by services offered by the public administration, and many times by the joint effort of different institutions. What is interesting is that right now in the civilized world, actually all of our major events in our life have something to do with the administration. And you'll see what I mean when you see a list of examples of life events, which can range in various categories, like the one related to the personal life, marriage, divorce, death, with the employment, like the retirement, with various essential transactions that you do in life, like buying a house or the process of building a house, and so on. So this list that you see in the screen, on the screen, is not an exhaustive list, and is not even a standard list at the level of the European Union. You'll see further on why this is not happening yet. This is just a set of examples that will show you what exactly we mean by live events. And you'll see that if you take any of them, then you'll actually, in order to go through this process, through this event, you'll have to interact with the public administration, usually in your or where you live right now, usually in several steps. Now, the question of why the live events should work the same throughout the EU actually has a very self-explanatory answer. We do relocate across the EU. We do move to work, to to marry, and so on. And also, the enterprises trade or create subsidiaries and engage in contracts and so on throughout the EU. So we would expect, as members of the EU, to act in the same way in relation with the public administration when we have to do something, or when something important happens to us in life. So life events should be consistent and should happen in a predictable manner throughout Europe. This is not really happening, and there are several important causes. I would list what I think to be the main ones. On one hand, and the most important maybe is the discrepancy in the administrative legislation and the operational procedures that are following the legislation. Then is the lack of commonly agreed data models. This not only affects the ability of the services to be served digitally, so through, let's say, through internet, but also is very important when the data is exchanged between countries. So you would want that your specific personal data, which is registered in Italy, for example, if you move and have a live event in the Netherlands, should be available in the correct form when you need it. For this, you will need to actually rely on common data model and no universal reference data so far. Now, we'll take the aspects one by one. First, the legal aspect. The legislation itself in Europe comes from a long tradition, and some of the laws, specifically the administrative laws, the administrative procedure laws, are actually stemming from the practice and the tradition, which is already like 200 years old in many countries. It is very important to go towards the uniformization of the law itself, and this is something that the EU is taking seriously. We expect to see it happening. It is a European Parliament resolution in this direction, and we will see a common administrative procedure law, although to my knowledge, there is nothing set in terms of clear timeline. Another aspect is related to interoperability. Now we've heard this word again and again in the last years, and we'll hear it over and over again in the near future. Is something that is present in all the strategies throughout Europe and all the strategies adopted at the national level. It's something that is very emphasized because it's an essential aspect in the capacity to interchange data in between systems, in between institutions through informatic to software means. There are several aspects that we should consider in regard of interoperability. One is the technical aspect, interfaces, standards, data formats, and protocols, which relate directly to the software that works in the institutions. This is actually the easiest thing to solve right now because all the states and the EU itself is emphasizing the usage of open standards. Now, most of the states in the EU have already established internal regulations in regard of the usage of open standards, what open standards are compulsory, and what data formats should be used. It is not yet standardized specific policy at the level of EU, but once the countries adopt such an internal regulation, I expect that there will be following a compulsory European, pan-European policy regarding the specific open standards to be used. So this will be eventually solved and quite soon, I would say. Then is the semantic aspect. Now, in order to actually interchange data in absolutely any format, you need to refer to the terms in the same way. You need to have the same structure of the entity that defines a notion, something. Like, for example, the attributes of the company, of a company, should be the same in any country in order to be able to exchange the data related to it. And then is the organizational aspect, which relates to the process models and the information architecture, and we'll go further into more details in this aspect. But first we'll cover the semantic one. In the last years, there have been consistent progress throughout Europe. First to the ISA program, which delivered the ISA core vocabulary in the during its time. It's a very important step in which we've gained simplified, reusable, extensible data models that capture the essence, the essential characteristic of specific data entities. There is an initial set of these vocabularies, like the core business vocabulary, which allows us to define exactly the same way in any country in Europe the characteristic of a legal entity. So, for example, of a company, and we can be sure now that a company is defined by the same characteristic and using the same vocabulary terms in all the Europe. This allowed the creation of the Business Registers Interconnection System, the BRICE, and now already data related to companies is available at international level in the same format. This is a very important step ahead. And this is actually an example of what can be achieved through the standardization of the vocabularies. Then the core location vocabulary, this defines a geographical location with all its attributes. The core person vocabulary, which defines the characteristic of a person. The core public service vocabulary, which explains and defines the attributes of a service which is delivered by a public entity, by a public institution toward the citizen, mainly by the public administration, of course. So this was the initial set, which is right now followed by other sets which were developed or are in development, like very recently finished and published one, the core public organization vocabulary, which defines in the same way a public institution across Europe. This is again a very important step, which now already we have available. Given the very important topic of semantic interoperability, there are several programs in EU, and there are founded programs in this respect, which not only go towards developing vocabularies, but also go towards fostering the development of various applications that use the vocabularies. Like, for example, the ISA 2 program, which is now in operation, which supports the development of digital solutions that enable various actors, administration, businesses, citizens, to benefit of the interoperable public services. There are already several applications available, and there will be more applications that can be further then taken and used by the public administration or even by the service providers, like software developers, who would use them in their own products in order to provide better products for the public administration in order to be used for delivering of the services towards the citizen. Another interesting initiative is the creation of the points of single contact, which is a set of online e-government portals with a dual purpose. One is to inform. So in any country that you will be, you will have all the information regarding what documentation do you need, what steps do you have to take in order to do something, usually to go through a live event. The purpose also is to go forward to present a platform in which the citizens or the companies can actually be assisted step by step and can execute this, those processes online. There are some pilots in this respect in several countries for some specific processes, but in general, as I've looked over the points of single contact portals, I'm seeing that the level of implementation of actual online service is very different, and also the presentation itself of the services is very different, even from the point of view of the structure of the services themselves. That is because each country has the liberty to define which are the services which should be presented, which raises two further questions. What services should be included in such portals, or in general in the consideration of the live events? And why is that? Only several countries and only several processes are available online. Is there a problem that blocks even in one country the services to be delivered online? Because in any single country, at least, we do not have a problem of divergent legislation. We, in each country, work under the same legislation, the national legislation. So the question is actually, are the services happening in the same in each administrative institution, even in the same country? You actually can guess the answer, I think. So what services should be included? The surprise is that for now, there is no common standard definition of the list of the live events at the EU level. The Europe initiative identifies and proposes 20 basic public services, but other countries see less and some see more, like my country, Romania, lists in its strategy for the digital agenda, it lists 36. And if I see them myself, and if I judge it myself, I would say that half of them should not even be there. I mean, in my opinion, they are not actually live events, but more like concepts that are not even now supported and cannot be supported through a single public service. Okay. In regard of the understanding of what exactly are the processes that happen in each institution, generally, if you do take people from several municipalities and you do ask them to draw a list of the processes that happen in their city hall, them being public servants, you will have the surprise that the list would be different. Well, slightly or more different, but still different. Since this happened at the level of Europe in each country, Netherlands had an initiative, well, under the initiative, the bigger initiative of HEMA, the municipal model architecture, which defines also at the technical level the architecture that the municipalities should have while going digital. It also includes a standardized hierarchy of administrative process categories, so that at the level of the Netherlands, and so far I do not know, it might be, but I'm not aware of another initiative like that, to go into standardizing the structure of the processes which happen in institutions of the same type. In this case, in the municipality or in the city halls. But this is something that on the long run would help a lot any state and EU in general to move towards the uniformization, or at least to understand where they are, or where they stand towards the uniformization of the services. Now, even in countries which put a lot of effort into the standardization, like it is the Netherlands that I've talked about, we see that the same process happens slightly different in institutions of the same type in different, for example, towns, in different cities. Even though, yeah, the law is the same, but there are differences in the organizational structures of the institutions themselves, organizational structures which are in general not updated in the same rhythm as the, let's say, the technology evolves, or the globalization evolves, or even the EU evolves. Then at the level of each institution, there are the operational procedures that complete the law and that assists the execution and put rules in the execution of the activities step by step in each day for each of the persons involved. But they are created and adopted at the level of each institution. They are not generally applicable, and they are not generally generated. Yes, there are differences in the local institutional ecosystem, which means that in big cities, things happen differently than in communes or in small towns, because the sizes of the institutions that operate are different, and the jurisdiction or the activities that each is doing are of different spans. So what we see is that even though we have the same problem, if we go from city to city, the process is about the same, but is actually not the same. So some steps might take a different amount of times. Some documents that we have to fill might look a bit different, and this does create issues even at the level of the same country. It also creates a problem for, let's say, for a service provider that would want to develop an application that would help all the cities in a country. Let's say if I would want to create an application that will support the some processes for Italy, I will have to adapt my application for the specific usage case, internal usage case of each of the city halls, which will be a tremendous effort, and then it will be a tremendous maintenance effort. So it's clearly that this model does not work. We cannot just repeat the work again and again. So we need to find another solution. And that comes in the form of the configurable standard business models. Now, more and more the activity is designed and modeled using the paradigm of BPM, business models notation, and this presents or provides a schema for the representation, easy representation and following of all activities step by step. When we encounter different variations in the same type of process, we'll have to think of the way to actually put this variation in models that can work in the same or in only one piece of software, for example. In this respect, there was an interesting project developed by the Technical University of Eindhoven several years ago, the COSELOG project, which included 8 Dutch municipalities and 2 IT companies with the exact purpose of defining configurable process models that can be adapted for each particular municipality. So what they did was to design a core process model for each of the processes that they were taken. As you see on the screen, they started to analyze the processes regarding the delivery of the permits, the paying of the taxes, delivery of the certificates and licensing from the city halls. For each, they've created a core model, and then on top of the core model, they've included the variation for each of the cases. So when, for example, the process will be in effect for a certain municipality, then the process itself will go on a specific municipality-specific branch. But still, it is the same process. It's only one process. It's just that it has variations which are controlled by logic gates. So this is a model that can be further extended. It can be further extended at the level of country, like the COSELOG shows for the case of the Netherlands, and potentially it can be extended at the level of Europe. So far, I've presented what I know and what I understand regarding the state of the standardization and the steps that we're taking in towards creating a uniform way to access and to benefit of the services in relation with our live events. And there are several ideas that I've had during the time and that I think of regarding the steps that they can be further taken. And first of all is what I see from the example of the study in the Netherlands is that it could be that even for processes like the ones related to the live events, we can define core process models which can then be configurable and then can offer variations for every country and for every, let's say, municipality. We can also go towards defining a common public service architecture at the level of the EU. That is to clearly know and to clearly be synchronized in regarding of what each country and on what each institution considers to have to be the services that they provide. So normally, as we would intuitively say, each institution of the same type provides the same services. Actually, this is a bit unclear or fuzzy even for the ones who work in the institutions themselves. Further on, considering that there is a big, let's say, national specific in the processes and in how things work, I think that it will be helpful to have national working groups that will coagulate to create this type of standardization, first at the level of the national level, and then going forward together at the EU level. Extend the core vocabularies because for now they only cover some aspects, and then further on, once we have this standardized view, to go and publish the core business model so that they are used everywhere by everyone. Those are my thoughts. I hope that you found them interested, and now I'm very interested in what you think, and very interested in your questions that I will gladly answer from now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Daniel, for your presentation. So as said at the beginning, if you have questions, please feel free to write in the questions tool, or to use the questions tool. And yes, as Daniel said, he will reply. if you are, since the number of people is manageable, if you are more comfortable to speak, we can also try to do a voice interaction. So please, you can raise your hand. So and use the tool in the GoToWebinar form and ask directly a question. In the meantime, Daniel, I have a question.
Please.
So if I got it well from your presentation, there is no standard in Europe about what live events are, isn't it? I mean, there are still country-specific definitions of live events.
Yes, this is, yeah. True.
And there aren't also no European regulation, so to say.
Correct.
So each country is managing these aspects on their own. So my question is there, as far as you know, in Europe, a country that is particularly advanced on these aspects, so on the regulation of live events, and specifically, you can also talk about how it is, or how Romania is, that is your country, is dealing with it.
So in general,
yeah.
At the level of each country, there are specific efforts. There are specific efforts towards digitizing the interaction between the institution and the citizen, and thus in the development of e-government solutions. So the ones that are more advanced in e-government itself and in government capacities and delivery of the services at the level of the institution also is more advanced in the standardization. This is an empirical observation, because there are not so many studies which are written in English and available or accessible at the level of each country. Even the policy models of the Netherlands, which I like a lot, I could not find in English. I could find only abstracts, but not the content itself. So it's quite difficult to grasp exactly where each stands. This is why it's very important, and I'm very curious to find out from the people themselves, from each country, how they fare. However, besides the Netherlands, which is very preoccupied of it, I believe that Estonia is also quite advanced, and advanced also in the logic of the standardization that is seen also through the level of the e-government services that are offered online, including the ones offered by the Tallinn municipality through their portal. And the northern country now, even if Norway is not per se in EU, it's still the promoter of the logic of the standardization and of the e-government and e-administration services. So mostly some of the northern countries, Scandinavians and the Baltic states, I would say, are more advanced, and then Dutch, Denmark, as far as I know. Well, in regard of Romania, at least, we're lagging behind, about all the others East European states, because there is not so much tradition even in the understanding of the importance of the standardization at the level of the administration. So what we have to do is first to create awareness. To create awareness of the importance of these aspects, including us as the IT industry, and also us as consultants for the public sectors, and also us as players in the relation or in the dialogue with governmental structures. So first is awareness, then is adopting as compulsory the standards at the EU level, like, for example, the accessibility standards, which are a default for many countries already, but for us in Romania are not. And then moving step by step into actually developing the standards. But we're quite lagging behind now.
Thank you.
That's about it on the questions from my part.
Yeah. So I do not see any raised hand or no question in the tool. So I think that you have been quite exhaustive in your explanations. So thank you, Daniel, for the presentation. Before closing the webinar, I would like to remind or to inform that we have about our new website that we have redesigned. So we have just launched the new website of Espresso, and yeah, as you see, it is a completely different design. We have included, we have improved with new features and contents, and particularly we have now a section where you can find the description of our pilot cities. We have also a section under Espresso content where you can find our deliverables and other documents that we have produced in our project. And also under Espresso community, you can find the recordings of these webinars that we are going to upload, and also the other the previous ones. So please have a look at the website, and also spread the voice. So thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar. And stay tuned for the next one. As usual, you will receive an email with the detail for the webinar. So thank you again, and have a nice day.